I have no idea. Whoever has the area code H is It's just like weird. Okay. So capitalized. What? No. This is Augustine Greatest. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started and interview for the Buncombe Tourism Development Authority appointments of the city for managers and owners of hoteliers or lodging establishments of 100 people, 100 rooms or less. And we are limiting the interviews to 10 minutes, so I know that that's a tough go, but I'm just gonna sort of lay out the process. I'm gonna give you guys like 2 minutes to just say who you are, assume that people have read your resumes and read your applications, and then after that 2 minutes, we will open it up for questions from the various council members. Really appreciate your willingness to serve. It's a lot of work, and just even getting in front of the public in an interview like this, I know can be a little different. So we really appreciate that you're willing to step up. So the first folk we have is Pratik Bhakta. You want to come up? And then Maggie will keep, Maggie will keep for 10 minutes. Thanks, Pratik.
Hi, good evening, council members, audience. My name is Pratik Bhakta. I'm a hotelier. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I moved here from India to New Jersey when I was 6 years old, so I immigrated there. Ever since then, I've been in the motel business. I was raised in the motel business. We didn't have a place of our own until, well, we came in '78. So we first place was 1984 in Enka Candler. There's a place called Nacon Motel. It still exists, 13-room motel, and we own that. We owned that for 3 years. And my dad, we were a family of 7, 3 older sisters. I went to school in Candler. Graduated Inca, moved on, went to NC State, got my degree in electrical engineering. Did not want to be in the hotel business. Unfortunately, my dad fell ill, and I was the only son in our Indian culture, so I took over the family business, gave up what I wanted to do, and I've been at the hotel business ever since. We still own our 30-room motel that we built in 1993, my dad built, and we still run it to this day, housekeeping, maintenance, getting up in the middle of the night for customers. Sometimes we lack some sleep, but do our best, and that's a brief rundown of where I am.
Okay, super, thank you. So I'll open it up to council members. If, I don't know who, no one has. Anyone?
I have some.
Okay.
Okay. So my question for you is, the TDA currently has a $20 million marketing budget for a city of our size, or that's extremely high for a city of our size. Could you see the TDA reducing the, I can't read my own writing. Could you see the TDA reducing the percentage that it now goes towards marketing and put it towards things to benefit the community?
That's a bigger discussion than just myself. I believe that discussion centers around what the TDA can and can't do with that money. As you know, there are state statutes that tell or govern how the TDA specifically spends their money. But I'd be open to a dialogue where we can discuss where some of that funding can go towards. But again, I can't speak on behalf of the whole TDA, not even being on the TDA, and I can't really speak on behalf of all the hotel owners or the tourism industry in general to say that yes, I can, or no, I can't. But I'd be willing to sit down and say, let's address some of these issues, see where there's opportunities that we can come together or have sort of the TPDF funds maybe allocate towards city as it has been in the past.
Julie?
Have you been involved in the current process, tourism management and investment planning process that the TDA is undertaking right now, which is aimed at sort of refreshing how the TPDF is managed and run and administered?
So the TPDF is the
Tourism Product Development Fund.
the portion of the room tax that can be used for capital
That's right.
infrastructure.
Yeah. I have not been in that process. I've heard the process through various means that the city is discussing that with the BCTDA, but I've not been in direct talks with them.
What do you see the TDA's future relationship with the city of Asheville looking like?
I think given the right opportunities that can come along, I think there could be a synergistic approach. It just depends on, what solutions we can come up to better enhance some of the shortfalls that the city has and that TDA can and help in certain areas.
Okay.
I actually had a question. So you've owned your own hotel, your family has. I'm curious, kind of in this day and age right now in Asheville, this is going to go a little off script. What's it like to be a hotelier at this day and age in Asheville? Like, do you go out and say, "Hi, I run a hotel," and what are the reactions you get?
It's very it's a climate where people think negatively of the hospitality industry. I think that a lot of this, the data that's out there is misconstrued. It's hostile towards hoteliers, in my opinion. We especially me, growing up here in the hotel industry with a small business, mom and pops, I'm looking to grow. I raise my children here. They don't want to be in the motel business. I encourage them to go do what they wanted to do. My daughter's in the fashion, she's going to NC State and wants to do fashion design. And I said, go where you want to go. But I'm still very positive and upbeat that the industry and the city can work together. I don't know what that solution is, but I'm always willing to talk.
Do you feel that there is a kind of level of tourism or level of saturation that saturation is the wrong word, level of tourism that we should be shooting for? Do you think there's too much, too little? And how would that sort of influence you if you were on the TDA board?
I mean, if you look at the last 3 years of occupancy, you'll see that the occupancy is very about the same. I think it's around 72.5%. Even with the introduction of new hotels and new rooms, Do I think it's growing? The economy in general is growing. You've got more people eating at restaurants, more people, visiting breweries, people going recreational hiking. I don't know if there's a saturation point now, that there could be. It all depends on the economies. If you look at the economy when we had that recession, it was about 2008, 2009. Overall, the U.S. economy had anywhere from 40 to 50% decrease in revenues. A lot of these bigger major metropolitans. In general, Asheville had maybe 20 to 25%, which you can say that it was part because a lot of people drive to Asheville, even back then. And major metropolitans usually have a lot of bigger industries where people fly in for business meetings and things like that. But that's it.
Okay, all right.
I have a question if nobody else has a question. Can you talk a little bit about any previous board experience you've had? Have you had an opportunity to serve on any other boards, not necessarily with the city, but just in general?
Yes, I've served, right now I currently serve on our Indian Cultural Association as the vice chair of that association. I think Councilmember Vijay Kapoor is also in that association. In the past, I've served as a board of director, which is an elected position for North Carolina for the Asian American Hotel Owners Association. It's the largest association in the world with approximately 18,000 members. And I was fortunate enough to serve on that board for 4 years. Several subcommittees, including bylaws, membership, strategic planning committees. And then I also serve on the City of Asheville Board of Adjustments.
Okay, thanks.
Do you have any experience with dealing with legislators, like at the state level or national level, relative to with any of that experience?
I do. I mean, as part of the Asian American Hotel Owners Association, there is a lobbying effort that we go to Capitol Hill to lobby for positive, driven businesses through all over U.S. And that happens twice a year. We do get to talk to congressmen and senators, and then we also have one day at the Hill that we go to with NCRLA to go talk to congressmen and senators for the state to see what positive impact certain areas and districts could have.
Okay, great. Anything else? Okay, that's great, thanks.
Thank you for your
So, just so you know, the process will be, and I wouldn't recommend staying up for it, but we will vote on this appointment at the end of the meeting tonight. So you will find out either by watching us or sticking around, or we'll call you in the morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Okay, so unless people need a break, we'll go ahead and have James Poole come up. And same, when you come up, same deal, exactly. 2 minutes for yourself, and then we'll ask questions.
Awesome. First, thank you for seeing me today. I guess I'll give a quick rundown of just why I'm here. I think that I have a perspective to lend to the board in the kind of the guidance, governance of the tourism efforts for the county. So I've worked in hotels since I was 18, started as a front desk agent, and think that tourism and hospitality actually can be like an extremely positive thing, myself being one of those cases. But I'm also fully aware of the fact that it has impacts on communities and also those that work there, honestly. It's not terribly well known for being the best paying industry. I think that that's something that we can strive to do better. We've, myself and those that I work with at the Foundry, when we did this project and went to open it, felt like it was something that we could do better than we had done in our pasts, and that we could maybe do better than those around us at the time. Strive to do things the right way by those that support us, which is, in my case, the team that I work with. So I'd like to try to extend that perspective and that belief a bit further if able to. So that's ultimately why I'm here.
Okay, great. So we'll go ahead and open it up to council members. You want to start, Brian?
Yeah, I'll
Thank you.
start with the same question. The TDA currently has a $20 million marketing budget, extremely high for a city of our size. Could you see reducing the market, same thing I struggled with last time, could you see reducing the
Shifting the
share
balance
going towards
possible?
marketing
Sure.
and moving it towards community needs?
Yeah, so I think in that line, I did the conversation of the percentage, right? 75% goes to marketing, 25% goes to the TPDF right now. I'm a firm believer that any percentage that is removed from the marketing program would stick with the TPDF. I think that the money should still be governed by the BCTDA regardless, but I would have to say that if we haven't already reached it, we're probably approaching a point where we have substantial marketing dollars in the system that give us the ability to do exactly what the BCTDA is, mandated to do. I think that we could definitely start to shift some of that focus and along with that funding towards managing the impacts of tourism, right? I think that there is, a lot of what the TPDF is doing now is investing in products that drive tourism. I do thoroughly understand the legislative mandate and where it is now, but I do believe that there's the possibility that we could try to find a better way to start to contribute towards, again, managing the impacts that tourism has. Bringing people in has a lot of benefits to more than just the hotel business. I think we can all agree to that, but it also has a lot of impacts on the city, the county, parking needs, infrastructure needs, stuff like that. I understand that would require a significant change in the legislative mandate to begin to be able to do that kind of stuff, but I don't think that is something that should be shied away from if it makes sense for us to do.
I have a question. In your application, you said that you have experience and a skill set to work with all of stakeholders in our community to grow tourism in a way that supports that same community. How diverse is that pool of stakeholders, and are there diverse opinions as well?
Yeah, so that stems from roughly about 2 years now that I've worked with what currently I'll refer to as our monthly meetings off the block, right? So we have meetings that we held at the block off Biltmore. We've since moved that to the YMI under Duana's leadership. But no, I have the experience of hearing a good bit of the positive, but also, unfortunately, a good bit of the negative impact that opening a hotel on the block has had, right? We've done our best to be a good steward, a good neighbor, and good for the community. But that doesn't mean that for the years that it took us to build it, we didn't cause problems for people. We did. I've heard those problems. I've done my best to navigate, in a manner of alleviating those problems the best I can while still doing my job. So I think that I have a bit of an experience that not everybody may have based on just kind of how small the community is on the block. And again, the impacts that they felt over the last few decades. So.
I'll ask the same question as well. Have you been involved in the current tourism management and investment planning process that the TDA is undertaking right now?
So I have attended a few of the meetings as it relates to the actual public input, et cetera. I have not, nor am I in a position to actually be directly involved in the planning aspects of that. Outside of attending some of the meetings to be able to hear and see what's going on, I am working with Duana at the YMI on actually trying to execute on the grant that they received. I think that they're an integral partner to us, so I have way more understanding about the TPDF process than I did before, in an effort to try to be a good, again, just be a good steward, be a good neighbor. I'd be remiss if I didn't say that we would benefit from a successful YMI, so I don't want to make it seem as though I'm just doing it out of, nowhere, but I like, working with them. I think that it's a great neighborhood and a great community, and I want to see it do better. But again, all the businesses on the block will be more successful with a successful YMI. So I have gotten involved in the grant they've received and trying to help them implement that and ultimately complete the renovation.
Okay.
How do you view the current relationship between the TDA and local government? And then how do you view the future? How would you like to see that future relationship be?
Well, how I see it now,
Yes.
it seems more difficult than it should be. I understand that I have not been at the table with any of you or the BCTDA in trying to make that work better, but it seems, again, more difficult than it should be. We all have mandates that are, again, to better the community, better the neighborhood, better, we're all supposed to be going for the same goal. It seems like we may have gotten, or different agendas, maybe, I guess I'd call it, between the two. I don't know if that's the proper word, but it seems more difficult than it should be. We should all be trying to do the best we can, being guided by, a moral compass that hopefully is pointed in a reasonably good direction. And, ultimately, working together, we should be a great asset to, the Asheville city government and to the county government in making smart choices for, the community as we try to grow tourism in a healthy manner.
I'm going to ask the same question. Do you see that there's ever a point where there's enough tourism? And how would you measure that? How would you think about that? If you agree that there might be enough at some point.
There's got to be a sweet spot, right? I'd have to say that there is. I'm not educated enough on the statistics and the understanding now to tell you that I know what that sweet spot is, but there has to be. There is with just about everything, right? Maybe we're past it. Maybe we aren't there yet. I unfortunately can't tell you that I know the answer, but I do believe that there always is. There's an unhealthy amount of everything. Anything to a degree can be. We could do better with more, possibly. We could also maybe do better with less. I don't know the answer. I try not to look at it as just a hotelier from the standpoint of, heads and beds is good for me. I think that I know that tourism does well for a lot of people. I've seen the statistics, but I also just talk to people, right? Like we opened a hotel December 1st of 2018 on the block, an area that had been heavily under construction for a long time. And then we had the wonderful week between Christmas and New Year's where it's extremely busy. And I was fortunate enough to go, a couple of places, Limones and La Ca, and talk to Matthew at the Penny Cup, and like, hey, how did the week go? And they were like, wow, we saw a lot more foot traffic, a lot of business. That's great. But I also know that there's parts of the town where they have like 8 new hotels next to them. And so I can understand that there may be the ability for there to be negative impacts and positive impacts. And I think that appropriate research should, be able to guide us to an answer. Statistics usually can provide that answer if we're willing to look at them.
Okay.
I just had one quick question. James, you talked about kind of ideas about mitigating the impacts of tourism a little bit before about TD. Do you have examples of what you would see as ways to mitigate? What things that if you were on the board, either initiatives or concepts or ideas that you might be able to bring to mitigate some of the concerns that you raised?
Yeah, so I would say that the general concept behind that is ultimately going to be one, appropriately understanding the impacts, right? Whether that is on traffic flow, parking availability, the infrastructure from a sidewalk standpoint, things like that, right? Understanding exactly what is, X number of bodies coming into market doing. Again, those are things that we can easily determine with the appropriate research. Am I out of time? Is that what that was?
That's what that noise. That's what that was. Thank you.
Thanks, VJ.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Again, we really appreciate both of your interests. We know this is a lot of work. It's this standing in front of a group like this is always a challenge, at least for me. And so, again, you can hang out tonight with us and wait around for the vote, which is going to be the very last piece of the meeting before public comment, and or we'll call you in the morning. Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
So that'll end.
Yep.
So that ends this portion, and we'll.
We're going to start the city council meeting in 15 minutes. And I would just wanted to let people know that the item on the public hearings agenda, 72 Biltmore, which was a public hearing at the last council meeting, we will not take public comment on that item. Broadway, sorry. It's Broadway right there, not Biltmore. Yeah. We will not be taking public comment on 72 Broadway tonight. It is on the agenda, but we will not be taking public comment on it again since we did it at the last meeting. Thank you.
Hey, guys, I'm going to suggest